So today we are going to learn about the process of replication of DNA. Replication of DNA. So you can see this is the DNA double helical structure, and this is the original template basically, and the two strands they get separated, and from these two strands you can see there are two newly synthesized DNA strands, which is shown by the red color here, right? So here the template, the word is template we use here. So template is basically the strand which is used by DNA polymerase. So this is the enzyme DNA polymerase which helps in synthesis or replication of the DNA, you can say. So originally you can see this one is the template strand, and this is used by DNA polymerase so as to attach the complementary bases during the replication of DNA, right? And in case if we talk about RNA synthesis, so instead of DNA polymerase there will be RNA polymerase, right? But rest of the process will be same, means it will again attach complementary bases to the DNA, and this RNA polymerase is used in the process of transcription. Right now we are talking about the process of replication, that is why I am telling you about the template, and we will talk about this enzyme in today's lecture, DNA polymerase, right? Now before starting, let me just tell you that DNA replicates semi-conservatively. Now this semi-conservatively replication of DNA means there is the one strand is the original strand, whereas the newly synthesized strand is the you can say one strand is basically from the previous generation or the original strand, and there is one newly synthesized strand. That is why we call it semi-conservative replication. So let me write one strand is parental strand, and second strand will be the newly synthesized one, right? Newly synthesized strand. Now let me just draw it so you may get more clear picture of it. So suppose this is a DNA strand which is from 5' to 3', and here's the another one. Now what will happen now, these two strands they will get separated out, and there will be synthesis of the new strand. Let me mark it with red green ink so you can see. Now here you can see the one strand which is the purple one. Let me just mark it. This has come from the previous generation, right? And the orange one, it has also come from the previous generation, but there is synthesis of the new strand which is shown by the green ink here, right? So this is known as semi-conservative replication, where one strand is the parental strand or from the original strand, and one strand is the newly synthesized strand, right? So this semi-conservative replication of DNA was proved by the experiment of Michelson and Stahl. So Michelson and Stahl experiment we are going to discuss. This experiment confirms that DNA replicates semi-conservatively, right? So you can see in this experiment, so this medium has N15 heavy isotope, right? And N15 heavy isotope will get incorporated into the genome of E. coli, because we are taking here the example of E. coli bacteria which replicates within 18 or 20 minutes, right? So now what they have they had done in this reaction experiment, first of all they grew the E. coli for several generations in the medium containing NH4Cl, right? And this NH4Cl had N15 isotope. Now, as we have already learned that N15 is the heavy isotope of nitrogen, right? Then in the next step, what they did, they extracted the DNA from these cells and they centrifuge this on a salt density gradient. That salt was CaCl, salt density gradient, and then the DNA gets separated, and the higher density N15 was then grown in the N14 medium. So you can see here they have grown it in the N14 medium, right? So then they notice the replication after every 20 minutes. So you can see the first generation, which is after 20 minutes, is the F1 generation they have marked, and this F1 generation, you can clearly see that it contains one blue colored strand and one orange colored strand, you can see, right? So this blue colored strand, which was originally from this DNA, right, and the orange color strand is the newly synthesized one. So this shows that DNA replicates semi-conservatively. But what happens after 40 minutes, you can see here is the F2 generation, and you can see that the hybrid which is shown in this, these two are the hybrids. You can see these two are the hybrids, right? So there are two hybrids and two DNA. They are shown by this color, orange, right? So after 60 minutes, you can see F3 generation, which is 1:3 now, right? Earlier it was 1:1, means one part was hybrid. Hybrid means N15 and 14, right? Because N15 strand, suppose N15 strand is that blue colored strand, right? So N14 is the orange colored strand. So this is the hybrid DNA which they have got, and you can see one is pure DNA. Pure means we can call it original one, because it contained two strands and both of them are N14-14, which is the natural nitrogen strands having nitrogen, right? But in after 60 minutes, means in the F3 generation, you can see the ratio is 1:3, means here you can see there are two hybrid strands and there are total of 6 pure DNA strands, right? So 2:3 or 2:6, that comes out to be 1:3, right? So that is why they are in the ratio 1:3. Okay, so this experiment has proved that the DNA replicates semi-conservatively, right? And we can find out the ratio of hybrid DNA as well as pure DNA in the generations, right? So this was the Michelson and Stahl experiment, which confirmed that DNA replicates semi-conservatively. Now the next thing you can see here is, this is the diagram which is showing the replication of DNA, right? And you can see there are two strands, one is from 5' to 3', this is extending, right, and this is from 3' to the 5', right? So this is the double helical structure of DNA which has been opened up, and this has formed what is known as replication fork, right? Now in this replication fork, first of all you can see there is a lagging strand right here, right? Now this lagging strand basically here it tells us about the direction of synthesis of the strand is opposite to the direction of growth of replication fork, right? Means you can see this is the direction of the strand 5' to 3', but the direction of synthesis of DNA will be from here to here, means from 5' to 3' in the opposite direction. But this strand is lagging strand, and this is the lagging strand. Why it is lagging strand? Because the reason is this: it replicates in the direction 5' to 3', right? This makes it lagging strand and complicated in structure, and you can call them Okazaki fragments. You can see the fragments here of the lagging strand. These are the fragments which will be later joined with the help of enzyme DNA ligase, right? But we call them these strand as Okazaki fragments, right? Okazaki fragments. So DNA ligase joins them, right? Then you can see there is another region in this strand which is known as ORI, origin of replication. This is the sequence of DNA where replication is initiated. So replication initiates here, right? This is the point where replication initiates, okay? And this is ORI. Then you can see there's, just a minute, I'll erase this thing. Okay. Now you can see one strand, one enzyme here, which is DNA polymerase 3. Now let me tell you, in E. coli, which is a prokaryotic cell, there are 3 polymerases: polymerase 1, polymerase 2, and polymerase 3, right? This is in case of prokaryote, right? So this DNA polymerase 3 is responsible for the synthesis of DNA, right? So it helps in DNA synthesis, okay? As far as eukaryotic cells is concerned, so there are different DNA polymerases in that case, and there are a total of 5 DNA polymerase in eukaryotic cell, 5 DNA polymerase, and these are denoted by alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and what do you call it, epsilon, right? So these are the 5 DNA polymerase which are found in eukaryotic cell, but in case of prokaryotic cell there are only 3, right? Now in this diagram you can see another DNA, which is DNA polymerase 1, and this DNA polymerase 1 basically fills the gap, DNA gaps basically, which arises because of the replication of DNA, and it repairs it, and right? So this is the function of DNA polymerase 1. Then you can see there is an enzyme primase here, right? This DNA primase is an enzyme which is actually a type of RNA polymerase. Mind it, it is a type of RNA polymerase, right? This catalyzes the synthesis of short RNA segment, which is the primer. You can see here, this is the primer, right? So it is synthesized all because of the enzyme DNA primase, right? Now what is the function of primer? Let me tell you. So let me mark it first. So here, so this primer is basically a short nucleotide or nucleic acid sequence that provides starting point. Starting point for what? Starting point for DNA synthesis, right? So it is very important if DNA synthesis has to occur, right? Starting point for DNA synthesis, okay? Now then you can see there is an enzyme DNA ligase. This we have already talked about, and this helps in joining of the 2 strands of DNA. So it basically connects the 2 strands of DNA. Just a minute. Connects the 2 strands of DNA, right, by forming bond between phosphate group of one strand and deoxyribose group of the another strand, okay? So this is the function of enzyme DNA ligase, and moreover you can see so this is a so here you can see there is a lagging strand that I already told you about. So this lagging strand basically forms what? Okazaki fragments, okay, which is further joined by the enzyme DNA ligase. Let me show you the more detailed version of this diagram. Okay, so here is a more detailed type structure. though it looks like the earlier one, but it is more organized. So here you can see there is a DNA polymerase, which is DNA polymerase A. Okay, now you can see the enzyme DNA ligase. Okay, then there is a RNA primer here, you can see, which helps in making the complementary strand from the template strand, right? And moreover you can see the DNA primase enzyme here. Okay, and one more enzyme here you can see is topoisomerase. This is very important as far as DNA replication is concerned, because this topoisomerase relieves the strain. So it relieves the strain in DNA, because it is very important. If the DNA strain is relieved, then only replication fork will be created, and then replication may be started. So so how it relieves the DNA strain? It relieves the DNA strain by removing the supercoils. So it removes supercoils in the DNA, right? Okay, and that is why it loses the DNA, tightly wound DNA, and that is why it opens up and forms the Y-shaped replication fork. Okay, then you can see one more enzyme here, which is helicase. So here is the helicase. Now what is the role of this enzyme helicase? Let me tell you. So this helicase is also an enzyme. It's an enzyme that untwist the helix, double helical structure. It untwists the helix. This is again very important if DNA replication has to go on smoothly, right? So it separates the two strands of DNA. Right? This DNA helicase, this helicase enzyme can be divided into two types, further two types. One is DNA helicase, and the other one can be RNA helicase. Right? So this is the function of the helicase enzyme. Then you can see. Moreover, let me tell you about one more enzyme. See, topoisomerase is having one more type, which is DNA gyrase. This is again important, DNA gyrase. Now it is an enzyme which within the class of this topoisomerase only. So what it helps, what it do, it helps in removing the supercoiling. So removing supercoiling, right? So it is same, it functions same as the topoisomerase, because it is it comes within the class of this topoisomerase enzyme only. But this is very important. Sometimes it is the question has been asked in the NEET paper, right? So now there is one more enzyme, you can see this is DNA polymerase delta. Now delta enzyme, this helps in catalyzing the accurate replication of the genome. This is very important, because see, accuracy must be there in the process of replication. Then only the process will be better. Otherwise, it may lead to some changes in the nucleotide sequence, right? And this polymerase enzyme also participate in DNA repair. So it helps in repairing of the DNA as well, right? Now so this is the structure, and now you can see the direction of the synthesis. Mind it will always be from 5' to 3' direction, because DNA synthesizes in only this direction only. So this is very important, and this is how the replication fork functions. Okay, so this is more detailed structure diagram, you can say. Okay, you can see the more detailed diagram of this replication. So here you can see the replication fork. First of all, there are topoisomerase and gyrase. These are the enzymes which help in. We have already discussed about these things. They release the strain, and they remove the supercoiling of the DNA. That is why DNA can be opened up now, and you can see the primer here, right? So this primer is there, which will initiate the replication of the DNA, and this strand is basically the lagging strand template, which helps in formation of the lagging strand. And you can see there are different Okazaki fragment 1, 2, 3, you can see here, and this purple color enzyme is DNA ligase, which helps in joining of these bonds, and we know that it joins it by adding the phosphate group, right? Then there's DNA polymerase 1 enzyme. You can see this is very important for the synthesis of the strand. Okay, so this type of synthesis is basically known as discontinuous synthesis, because there are different fragments, Okazaki fragments, which have been formed here, which will be in the end joined by the enzyme DNA ligase. Okay, now the next thing on the upper side, you can see there are some SSB proteins, single stranded binding proteins. They provide additional stability to this whole structure, and which helps in replication. Okay, then there's DNA polymerase 3, which is helping, which is doing another its own function. Okay, so then you can see there is leading strand template, which helps in formation of the leading strand, and this is basically the continuous strand, which gets synthesized from 5' to 3' direction. So so this is the whole replication fork, right? And now let me tell you this, that after the replication of DNA from one double helix of DNA, right, the another DNA has been formed, and since we know that the DNA replicates semi-conservatively, so the newly synthesized strand will be having one parental strand which came from the earlier generation, and one strand will be the newly synthesized strand, right? So this is how the replication process works.